Rebel Moon Part 2, The Scargiver, now out. Let's talk about it. Okay, so the sequel to the first Rebel Moon is now out on Netflix for you guys to go and check out. Zack Snyder brings the second one in. We still haven't got the 3-hour R-rated version of the first one, which is kind of a shame because I really wanted to see the actual proper version. I don't know why Netflix are doing this. Why didn't they just drop the whole thing? It's not like it's going to movie theaters or anything like that. Like, you could have just dropped the whole 3-hour versions in R-rated and just dropped it there. But no, we decided to go 2-hour versions in that. Anyway, the first film was very much hit and miss for a lot of people. Some people absolutely loved it. Some people didn't like it. Some people were in the middle. I was someone that I enjoyed the first one. I had problems with it. I definitely had pacing issues, and I felt like some scenes were missing out of that movie. So naturally, I was excited for the second one. I was kind of like, yes, let's go. I want to see what he's going to do with the second one. After watching it, I think this one's worse than the first one. I didn't really enjoy this one. And it's unfortunate because I like Zack Snyder and I like his movies. The only movie that I haven't liked of his was Sucker Punch. This is the one that I have to add to that list, unfortunately. I feel like this one... Look, the first one, like I said, has its issues. But there was enough there for me to enjoy and want to know more about and dive into. The second one here, the whole first hour of this whole entire movie is basically a montage of them cutting up grain and telling their backstory of where they come from. Like, what is their story? And I'm just sitting there like, really? This is a sequel to the first one. And I'm here sitting there watching them cut up grain for a good 15-20 minutes. And then we have them just trying to explain, oh, this is where I come from. Hey, where did you come from? This is where I came from. Hey, this is how I come through. It's like, really? So I spent a whole hour doing that when one of the most interesting things about the Rebel Moon universe that I really want to dive into is the Mother World, is that structure, is the villains themselves. We don't dive into that at all in this movie. And I was really hoping maybe this was going to be the movie where we start to dive in a bit more of what's going on in there. We see a bit more of, you know, the person that's in charge of everything. We see a little flashback here in this movie with how the royal family dies, but they don't really dive into the motives of why that all happened. Why is he doing this? What is the end goal here? Why the villains the way they are? What is the Mother World's ultimate plan? We just don't dive into anything like that. And I really wanted to see more lore and world building in here. But we spent too much time on this little moon again. We're just there watching them do all this stuff. And I was just sitting there like, come on, Zach. You have this whole universe, this you could explore. Like, the first one did a lot more world building and explored the universe where you kind of like, yes, I want to know more about this universe now. I want to know more about the different planets and what's going on. Dive into all that stuff. Then we come back. This feels like this should have been the first movie. That's what this feels like. This doesn't feel like the sequel. This feels like the first movie where you stay on the moon, you have the rebellion there, and then the next one is where you start to expand the universe. But what Zack's done, unfortunately, is he's expanded it in the first one and then downsized it in the second film. So this doesn't feel like a grand scale battle. The first one felt more like a grand scale sort of epic battle. This one just felt like, okay, what? We're fighting over grain? We're fighting over grain. That's what we're fighting over right now. And it was a shame. And look, again, the use of slow-mo. Like, I know Zack loves his slow-mo and it works in majority of his films, but this one, I mean, do I really need to watch people cut grain in slow-mo? No, I don't. I feel like he used it way too much here. Now, granted, there probably is a 3-hour version of this, R-rated version of this, that would be better, potentially, but I just feel like this one it went down a notch. It really did. Like, even the action, I don't think the action in this one is as good as the first one. I really don't. There's a lot of action sequences in here that feel very clunky. Especially the fight with the girl with the two red blades. That fight just didn't feel epic. Like, I'm sitting there like, okay, I'm waiting to see her take on other swordsmen. And when I was watching it, I felt very underwhelmed. It didn't feel like it was, it felt like, how do I put this? It didn't feel like it was all natural. It felt like this was a training exercise, fighting. And not in a way where you're like, yo, this character is just beating people down because they're just so much superior. Just like the whole fight itself just felt like I was watching people practice for the scene. And it's unfortunate because, like I said, the first one had really good action. I really enjoyed it. That was one of my favorite things of the first one, was all the action sequences. Here it just dies down. And then, you have the stuff when she's on the ship in here and how that goes down. And then the major battle. I think the major battle in the first one was better than this one between our lead and between the main villain. I feel like the first one did it much better. This one felt very underwhelmed. As a villain himself, I feel like he's much better in the first film. He's so much better. He's more, when he's on screen, you feel the presence. You feel like this guy is okay. This guy's someone you don't want to mess with. He's unhinged, and he just oozed villain. Then you come to this one, and it just took away from that character. And now I just see him, and I'm kind of like, this guy's a bit of a joke now. Like, he is a joke in this movie, and it's so unfortunate because I really liked that villain in the first movie. And I was like, okay, gonna bring him back. Can you expand upon him a little bit more? Give me a little bit more of the backstory to who he is, what his motives are, why is he doing this? Obviously, we know that there's one thing he wants. He wants a seat at the Senate. That's it. And I'm sitting there like, okay, so what's so great about the seat in the Senate? Why does he want that? Can we explore the backstory here? So I would have liked to see him interact a lot more with other villains in this universe that could showcase where he is and why he actually does. But no, we don't. He's just there. And it's annoying because I like Zack Snyder and I like his movies. And I will always be grateful for Man of Steel. He gave me Man of Steel, man. Like, the best comic book movie in my opinion. I love that movie so much. He gave me that. But this movie just did not land for me, man. He took a major step back. And look, there are some great shots in here as well. Don't get me wrong, there are some great shots. Zack is really good at the visuals. I still think the first one had better visuals than this one. There are some great scenes. The robot, we've been waiting for it. Very underwhelming. I'm going to say it's very underwhelming. I really thought this was going to be a more epic proportion when it came to the robot when he actually starts fighting. But in this film, it goes by so quickly. It's so underwhelming where you're sitting there like, oh, that's it. I mean, I don't know. I was expecting more. I was really expecting more. Unfortunately, this one didn't work for me. Let me know what you guys think of Rebel Moon Part 2, The Scargiver. Did you guys enjoy it? Smash it down in the comment section below. Smash that like button. Click subscribe. And I'll see you guys next video. Until then, stay safe and peace out.